All right, so everyone, welcome to the Persuasion Playbook and its techniques for unbeatable influence. And I think that in the market that we're in, the making sure that we are having the right conversations and the right framework is super important. So today, what we're going to do is just go over like the effective way to communicate and to communicate in a persuasive manner. And everything that we're going to talk about today really comes from a book. And the book is exactly what to say. And it's the magic words for influence and impact. And if anyone hasn't read this book, I highly, highly recommend it. Get it on Audible and be your driving companion for the next, couple days, couple weeks, depending on what your drives and your commutes look like. And or if you're a reader, get the book and read it. And if you want to do some kind of hybrid model, I can tell you this, what I found huge success with is if you actually want the physical copy of the book because you like to highlight and grab some different things and you want to speed up your reading, get it on Audible and get the book and then listen to it as you're going through and just put it on a faster speed. And you can kind of get through a book a little bit quicker and get the highlights and get the different things. So truly today, we're going to talk about, the power of persuasive language, tailoring your message to your audience, timing and delivery, uh, navigating objections, and building lasting connections. So, as we're going through this, we're really going through what the book looks like. And here it is. It says, the worst time to think about the thing that you're going to say is in the moment you are saying it. And guys, that's huge, right? Like, as we were talking about this conversation the other day, for those that were in Margaret's meeting on Wednesday for her skills lab, we were really talking about like having going to an open house. And in the open house, and you're going through and you're having conversations with people that are walking through the door, what's the first thing that we're doing, right? As adults, we're saying, hey, how are you? My name's Charles. And then they're introducing themselves. And we sometimes forget what their name is, right? Like that happens. I can't be the only one. I'm sure that that's happened to everyone that's on this call before because we're so caught up in thinking about what we're going to say next. And so there's huge importance around going through and having some canned conversation starters, some canned questions. And from there, you're able to have that conversation track to where you're going through and the conversation is going to look a little bit differently because you actually have, your list, your list of just different things that are going through that you can actually pull off of and run with. And with that, right, you're not going to ask all 50 of your same questions. And I think that's where a lot of people get caught up. Like, I don't want to sound like a robot. It's going to sound disingenuous, all these different things. Well, you're not going to go through your whole talk track of 50 different questions, but they're going to say something and it's going to spark that question. You're going to be able to grab it and run with it, insert it into the equation of that conversation that you're having at that time. So this book prepares you for nearly every known eventuality and provides you with a fair advantage in almost every conversation. So the very first one, right? I like this. It says, I'm not sure if this is for you, but right. So you're going through and you're actually putting a little bit of doubt in their mind, like, hey, you know what? I don't know if you would be able to benefit from this, or hey, I don't know if you would want this. And so, hey, I'm not sure if this would be for you, but I actually have access to every home on the MLS. Would you be interested in me providing that to you on a weekly basis? Right. So you're going through, you're not saying anymore like, hey, I have access to the MLS. I can put you on a drip search, right? I hope that no one's saying that to begin with. But the way that you do these conversations and the way that you phrase them look a little bit different. I'm not sure if this is for you, but I get the information to every home that eventually winds up on Zillow before it winds up on Zillow. Would you be interested if I send that to you? I'm not sure if this is for you, but is the best way to introduce any idea to anybody. Because at a subconscious level, there's no pressure. There's no pressure here, right? So if you're going through and this is your new talk track, guys, and these are the things, hopefully there's some taking of notes or there's, some mental notes that are going on with this. Because I can say that if you're going to implement a couple of these into your day-to-day conversation tracks that you're already having with people, you're going to start to see different outcomes. I'm not sure if this is for you, but this option is available for this week only. And I would hate for you to miss out. I'm not sure if this is for you, but we have plans on Sunday. And if you'd like, you're welcome to join us. I'm not sure if this is for you, but I'm actually going to go preview another house in this same area at 4 o'clock today if you want to join. Right? You're no longer coming out and saying, hey, do you want to come join us for this? You're actually putting it in their head that, oh, you know what? It's okay if I don't join, but subconsciously, they're going to want to pursue it a little bit further. So that's the first takeaway out of the book. The second one is this open-minded. And as we said before, your subconscious works along the lines of yes and no. And since there's no maybe, if you ask a group of 1,000 people whether they consider themselves open-minded, the study says at least 90% of them would say yes, like absolutely 100%. I am an open-minded individual. Because no one wants to be a closed-minded person, right? You don't want to be, no, I'm not an open-minded person. I'm actually really closed-minded. Thank you for asking, right? Like no one wants to be that person. So this is another way to frame some different things as we're having these conversations with these people in our ecosystem. We need to be able to use this for our benefit. If you start a sentence with how open-minded, you're shifting the odds from the person agreeing with you from 50-50, right? Yes or no, to about a 90-10. No one wants to be the closed-minded person. So you're actually setting them up for the answer that you're looking to get. How open-minded would you be to trying this as an alternative? How open-minded would you be about seeing us working together? Right? Like you're going through and someone's going to be like, oh, no, I'm not open-minded. No one wants to be that person. So this is another talk track that you can start introducing. I think this is pretty solid. You can put this in emails. You can put this in text messages, right? Like no one wants to be the person that's like, no, I'm not open-minded. Thank you for asking, though. I'm actually a closed-minded person. So this is going to set you up for that talk track to go into a little bit more in your advantage. The third one is, what do you know? All people think they know best, right? We all know best. That's how we're built. And if you want to start a conversation in a certain direction, you have to control it, right? Like if you want, and guys, that's the thing, like as we talk about these talk tracks aren't to make us sound robotic. They're to get us to a certain door so we can walk through the door and close the door and then go to the new door, right? There's this thing where we talk about the elephant in the room, right? What's this big elephant in the room? Instead of being surprised that it's there, we might as well put the elephant there, right? Like just put the elephant in the room. We know it's going to be there. We can work around it instead of being surprised about the big elephant in the room. A great way to achieve this is by moving the person's position from the one of certainty to doubt. All right. So we're going to take their certainty to doubt. And then it's more of a, what do you know? Like that's the magic phrase. And now you see that there is no longer like the smartest person in the room. So what do you know about everything that has changed since this? What do you know about everything that has changed since interest rates went to 8%? What do you know about everything that has changed since we have left the craziness of the 2021, 2022 buyer's market or the seller's market that we've been in? Right? Like we're just changing it. Everyone knows that we're in this market right now. And what's interesting is I'll even go into real estate school and I'll ask people like, what are we in? Are we in a buyer's market or a seller's market? And I get mixed hands. I get some people to say, oh, we're in a buyer's market. I get some people to say, oh, we're in a seller's market. Everyone thinks that they're right. So now we just change it and say, what do you know about this? Instead of saying, hey, what do you believe that we're in, right? We're getting away from these yes and no. We're going to open-ended questions. What do you know about how things really work here? What do you know about the home buying process? Right? Just like anything else, we're going through and we're asking them what they know because they're going to be more about, oh, you know what, I'm not sure. Please tell me. Oh, you know what, I'm not 100% caught up on this. This is what I do know. Like they're going to go through and they're going to let you know where they are. And then you're going to be able to educate them from there. They're not going to just pass it off and be like, oh, you know, I'm good. I'm good with everything that I do know. Yeah, almost like passive aggressive. Yeah, it's just like it's almost like this, guys. Like when you walk into a store and someone says, "Hey, can I help you find anything?" And you say, "No, I'm just looking." Right? It's almost the same thing where we're given the ability for someone to turn us down. And if we go through, "Hey, what do you know about the market since we hit interest rates at being 8%?" Then we're going through and they're going to let us know. They're going to give us the answers and they don't want to be wrong. So instead of being wrong, they're going to say, you know what? Actually, I don't know anything. What should I know? And then you're going to be able to have an open dialogue with these people, which is pretty solid. How would you feel if, guys, this one's big. I really like this one. And I think that at the very least, this is one that all of you should be starting to implement into your talk tracks and your dialogues every day. And, we know for sure that people work a lot harder to avoid potential loss than to achieve potential gain. And simply put, nothing motivates us more than losing what we already own. So, to overcome this obstacle, or even better, to use it for your benefit, we have to paint their future scenario so that you can trigger their proper emotions. And so it said, how would you feel if your competition passed you? How would you feel if this decision led to your promotion? How would you feel if this home went off the market tomorrow and you lost the opportunity? How would you feel if interest rates go up to 8.5% in the next 2 months and you're no longer able to purchase in this price point? Guys, think about that, right? Like you were painting a negative future, a potential negative future for these people. Because again, emotion makes people act. Emotion makes people act. So if we're going through and we're bringing emotion in, we're asking how they feel, it's going to drive them to make the decision that they want to do. This is the thing. None of us are good enough to make someone go out and buy a $600,000 house at an 8% interest rate. No one in this room. And our job isn't to do that. Our job is to ask enough questions to help people get to the motivation that they have for themselves to act. And so if we're going through and we start implementing this, how would you feel? How would you feel if this home is no longer on the market tomorrow? Right? And just let them think about it. And this is the thing. If they say, oh, we'd be okay with that, cool, rock and roll. But I can tell you this, they're going through and they're imagining the rooms and what the rooms are going to be used for and the barbecues and everything that they're going to be able to happen in the yard. And they're picturing family and friends coming over and entertaining in the space. How would you feel if this home is off the market tomorrow? Wow. Right. Like these are the different things. So this is a talk track that at the very least, guys, like we should be implementing this one into our day to day. Just imagine, for better or for worse, we are storytelling chimpanzees, right? It says, consequently, storytelling will always have the power to inspire, influence, and persuade. I mean, just think about this. We have Netflix, we have Hulu, we have Disney Plus, we have Amazon Prime. We have all of these different places telling different stories that we subscribe to hear stories. Like that is what we do, and that's how we live. And when we have books on tape, we have all this stuff to keep us entertained through stories. And this creates pictures in the minds of others. And because we are wired to just sit back and enjoy the view of situations, this is where this gets important for us. We have people draw this out in their head. When you were a child, the magic words were once upon a time, right? I'm just picturing it right now. Once upon a time in a galaxy far, far away, right? Like think about like everyone just pictured that exact same thing with me. You even knew what I was talking about. Like I don't think there's one person on this call that was like, what is Charles referencing right now? Like we all know it. Like we all just sat back, we just saw the black screen, we just saw the words going through, and then we were in outer space. All of us were together right then and there. So the new formula for us is just imagine. We're not going to go back and say once upon a time. That's a different storytelling. But for us and for the power of persuasion, we're going to go with just imagine. Just imagine how things will be in 6 months' time once you implement this. Just imagine the look on your kid's face when they see you achieve this. Just imagine what this house will look like when you put your finishing touches on it. Just imagine being able to host dinner during the holidays for the family here. Just imagine the memories you're going to be able to create in this backyard, right? We're putting this in here. Again, logic makes us think, emotion makes us act. And as we're going through and we're painting these pictures and they're actually doing it for us, guys, think about this. Like this is our job. All we are doing is going through and helping people make decisions based off of how they are feeling and what makes sense to them. Again, none of us are like, hey, you know what? You should go buy the $600,000 house. I'm like, no, I don't want to. And then we say some magic words, and they're like, okay, cool. Like, thank you for that prep talk. I'm gonna go spend money right now. No, right? Like this is people we've gone through. And yesterday, if you were on that the call, the ultimate buyer consultation, right? We'll get that recording out. But what we talked about was you're going through and you're figuring out the wish list, what's important to them, why it's important to them. Once we go through that buyer consult and we're figuring out all these different things, the next step is to go show them houses that meet that criteria. So, guys, if they just sat down with us and they told us everything that was important, hey, I need 3 bedroom, 2 bath, 2,000 square foot home. I want it to be a ranch. I want it to be in Arvada, like all these different things. Here's the price point that I can afford. And we go and find the house. What stops them? And guys, guess what? Like, I know that all of you that have showed houses, you have showed them the house that makes sense to them. Like, they went through and they told you everything that they wanted in their wish list. And then you brought it to them and they were like, no, this isn't the house. Going through and having these different talk tracks, you're going to help them get to signing the paperwork and going forward to make that decision. And it's not about the commission, right? None of this is about the commission. This is about helping the people realize that this is the mission that they started on, and then you help them make the final decision that was right for them. So just imagine what your new life is going to look like once you get this wall painted, your furniture in, and your first holiday insert whatever here. Let them put the emotion in it.
Charles, it's kind of funny, like as you're talking about this might sound silly, but I'm kind of relating it to like a fitness coach, like somebody who's, kind of overweight, really trying to get to their goal, but like
Yeah,
sometimes they get distracted and you have to be that person to like keep them on track and get them through those hard times and just
yeah.
push through. It just it totally just popped in my head. It reminded me, it's not about the commission. It's getting them to that end goal, even though, they may not want to jump over those humps to get there. Like that's what we're there for.
100%. 100%, right? Like to your reference with the fitness coach, right? Like even myself, like my coach can tell me like, hey, if you do this with your diet and you go through and you train X amount of days and this is the intensity, and like the dude just tells me like, hey, don't quit at X amount of reps, quit when you're fatigued, right? Like I know this stuff and it makes sense to me and I know that I'll get in better shape, but there has to be some kind of emotion into it. Like what does it look like? And I can tell you guys this, for anyone that's been on a like get in shape journey, it's very easy to lose motivation when you don't have like Cancun in the horizon, right? Like I can tell you that it makes life real easy when you're just like, God, I got to get beach ready. and you're imagining yourself on the beach and you're like, do I want to look like this on the beach or do I want to look like this on the beach? And this is the thing, we're all like, well, I know I'm going to be taking Facebook photos for this thing and putting it out for the world. So I want to look like this instead of how I do now. So the same thing, right? Like we all know logic. Logically, we get it. We totally get it. But the emotion behind it is going to actually make us do something.
It just
So,
gave me a different outlook than I originally
yeah,
had. Like that was another way to look at it, which I liked. So thank you.
yeah. Hey, you're welcome. So, when would be a good time? One of the biggest challenges right now is time, right? Right? Like we're all, and I think that's what's cool about the Zoom world. Like, if there was one gift from 2020, like only one gift that 2020 gave us, it was like we all pivoted and we realized that we can be virtually connected at a higher level than we've ever been connected. And right, like Nicole, like when you were first getting on, I know that you were in a car, and just when you're talking, there's obviously children with you. And I don't know what Lee has going on. I don't know what Megan has going on, but I'm at the office and like we're all in different places because of time and time constrictions and different stuff. And yet we're all together in different potentially zip codes right now, cities, whatever. And so this when would be a good time thing is how we inspire someone to make room in their life for us and some of the ideas. And so as we're going through when would be a good time, this magic expression implies that there must be some good time, and it incites the listener to tell you when that time would be. All right. So when would be a good time to take a proper look at this? When would be a good time to get started? When would be a good time this weekend to go look at this house? When would be a good time to sit down and talk strategy to get you into your new home? When would be a good time to sit down so I can just kind of go over this buyer commitment so I can show how I can work with you and how I can help you find your dream home? When would be a good time, right? We're going through, and I think a lot of us, and even myself, I get caught up like with like checking in and different like stuff that it turns people off in the grand scheme of things, right? And if we were to look at like where we rank as a profession, we're right above used car salesmen. And I don't think anyone in here feels like you're a used car salesman. And I've been there before, right? I can tell you that I had an experience with a used car salesman back when I think I was in my 20s, maybe a little bit younger, actually. And I was looking for cars, and it was an SUV. Like I've always been like an SUV, a truck person. And then like a convertible or something caught my eye, and I said something to the used car salesman. He just thought that I was totally wasting his time at that point because I was looking at trucks and SUVs, and he's like, well, what changed? Like, why are we looking at this now? And I don't think that any of us are there in these conversations. And so when we're going through and talking to people, when would be a good time? And we're attaching it to their motivations. When would be a good time to go look at houses this weekend? Not, do you want to go look at houses Saturday? That's yes or no answer. Or they might have something going on. And I've done that. I've been guilty of that, right? Like I've gone through and someone has said something to me and I have like two things going on my calendar. And I'm like, oh, that day's not a good time. Hold on. You're telling me, Charles, that you got 2 hours worth of stuff time blocked in your calendar on a 24-hour day and you're busy? Well, it's because I was framed and I just took the out, right? Like, oh, you know what? I'm actually busy that day. So if someone would say, when would be a good time to meet Saturday to go look at houses? They're going to tell you. And this is the thing, just like anything else. If Saturday's not a good time, it actually puts it back in their court. And they'll be like, I'm actually available Sunday at 1 o'clock. Well, cool. So instead of giving us a yes or no answer, hey, do you want to go look? Yes, no. Now we say, when would be a good time to go do this? And if nothing lines up in that for them, they're going to give you a new time, and they will. Like I use this when I'm doing open houses. What brings you in today? Was it Zillow or was it all the open house signs that we put out? And guess what? If it was neither of those, they'll let you know. But if I give them a yes or no answer, they're going to take it. And then that shuts the door. The conversation's closed at that point. Then you're awkwardly trying to be like, cool, so that just died. What should I ask now? And guess what? None of us are good at small talk. Small talk is an art form that most people don't have, and it just kind of gets weird. So let's not set ourselves up to have to like go and like pick it back up the conversation. When would be a good time to get together this weekend and go look at houses? They'll give you a time. They will. Like your conversations will be different. You have three options. When it comes to decision making, we are notoriously susceptible to being fooled by both our emotions and our reasons. Absolutely, 100%. Also, we tend to suffer from something called analysis paralysis. A good way to control this situation comes by offering only three options. And one of those three options, what's going to be easier for you, right? And that just goes through anything, right? If I were to say, hey, when would be a good time to meet? I'm available at 9 a.m. Saturday, 12 p.m. Saturday, or would 3 p.m. Saturday work better for your calendar? You're giving them three different options. And so they're going to land on one of those. And guess what? If they're not landing on one, they're going to give you a different option, which is okay. We're okay with that. We're okay with them coming to a decision. We just want them to make a decision. So only giving three options is big. Same thing goes for when we're showing houses, guys. Don't go show 10, 15 homes in one day. And I know you guys have been there, right? Anyone that's showing houses, I am sure that you're like, cool, they only were able to look at a house this Saturday. So we lined up 15 showings and we had to map it all out. We started in Thornton and then we mapped it all the way back to our house. And this is the thing, that's too much, guys. People can't make that decision. And so always be doing like the eye test as well, right? And so this is kind of one of the things, like if I'm going through and I'm showing houses, I'm going to go show a house and then I'm going to ask them what they thought of it. What did you like about this house? And they're going to tell me, awesome. What didn't you like about this house? They're going to tell me, awesome. Should I cancel the rest of the showings and should we write an offer? Yes or no? Cool. They say, no, let's go look at the next house. I like this house, but I'm not in love with it. All right, cool. Go to house number two. House number two, we're looking at it. We get through, we're done. What did you like about the house? What didn't you like about the house? Are you ready to write an offer? Yes or no? They say no. Then what we do from there is we're just going through and we're doing the eye test at that point. Is it house one or is it house two? Because we need to know what we're going to be comparing against, right? We're showing them three houses. They said maybe to both. Let's cancel one, right? You do the eye test. Do you like A? And they flip it, right? I don't know how it flips. I don't know if it flips this way or this way. I think it flips both ways, depending on what they're doing. But like they're like A or B, A or B. So they tell you, oh, I liked house one better than house two. Cool. House two is gone. Do you want to write on house one? No, I still want to go look at house three. Perfect. We go look at house three. Get done. What did you like about the house? What didn't you like about the house? Do you want to write an offer on this house? No, I don't think that I want to write an offer. Okay. So are we ready to write an offer on house number one then? You see, guys, like this is the thing. Like we don't get our job is not to go just show people houses, right? Like that's not why people are hiring us, and that's not what we get paid to do. And while this isn't about the paycheck, they are employing us for our expertise and to help them make a decision. Like that is part of our value proposition. There is nothing wrong with asking them why they're not writing an offer. There's nothing wrong with saying, are you ready to write an offer? So then if they said that, you know what, I'm actually not loving house number one either. I don't like any of them. And if they met the criteria, right, if we did the needs analysis, if we did the buyer consult in the beginning, where we figured out everything that was on their wish list, and that's the house that we showed them, then we need to ask them, so, the house was 3 bedroom, 2 bath, is in your area, is in your price point. What needs to change on the home criteria so that I actually show you houses that you're interested in? we're going through and we just need to make sure, guys, because we have an exciting job. We do, right? People love to go look at houses. If this wasn't true, there wouldn't be HGTV and all kinds of other stuff, right? And think about HGTV, it's home and garden. There's way more home shows than there are garden shows, first and foremost. And they all have different TV personalities, and people watch this stuff. I mean, even so much so where Selling Sunset's come out. I've never seen Selling Sunset, and it just looks like a dumpster fire. I saw like I'm not sure. Like Megan's smiling. I feel like Megan's had some Selling Sunset time. A little bit, yeah. And so like as you're going through, we have an exciting job. People will go look at houses with us all day long. They will. Like people love to go look at houses. I can almost guarantee you, if you guys want to take some massive, massive mind share from your people right now, put it out on social media that you're going to go look at houses this weekend and say, hey, real estate's more fun with friends. Would anyone like to come with me? And people would actually raise their hand and be like, I would go love to go look at some houses. Or, hey, this house just popped up in my neighborhood. I want to go see it. Will you take me? Like, I can guarantee you that will happen. Like, if you were to throw this out on social media, people will actually raise their hand, like, oh, yeah, I'd like to go look at houses. But when we're employed by someone, we have a buyer agency agreement with them. They're not thinking that we're just going to keep showing them houses and houses and houses. And yes, it's fun. They want us to help them make a decision. So 3 options makes life a lot easier. There's 2 types of people. If you want to prompt a near instant decision, then frame the option with, there's 2 types of people. And the second someone hears there are 2 people, there's a little voice in their head that's like, I wonder which one I am. Which type of person am I? So, hey, you know what? There's 2 types of people in this world. Those who leave their personal financial success in the hands of their employers, and those who take full responsibility and build their own futures. There's 2 types of people in this world. Those who resist change in favor of nostalgia, and those who move with the times and create a better future. There's 2 types of people. There's people that are actually getting the house of their dreams today at a little bit higher of an interest rate. And there's people who are going to wait because they think something's going to change and that house is going to be gone tomorrow. And they're like, oh my God, which person am I? There's 2 types of people in this world. There's the type of people that know that they can control interest rates and they're actually looking at houses today with the potential to refinance in the future. And there's people that are holding off and not building equity in their home because they're waiting to see what the future holds. Oh my God, I don't want to be the second person. I'd rather be the former than the latter. The latter sounds like it super sucks, right? Like, so put it out there, guys. There's 2 different types of people in this world. And immediately they're engaged. They're thinking, they're like, all right, cool. Like, I need to hear this. My person A or my person B. I bet you're a little bit like me. The reason why you can't convince strangers to do anything is that they're strangers. And we are programmed to not trust people who aren't like us. And guys, that's very real. That is so very real. I mean, even just go and think about the people that you work with. Think about your past clients. Think about the people that they're referring to you, right? It's a looks like me. It's a sounds like me. It has the same interest as me, right? That's very, very real. And so let's bring people a little bit closer to us. I bet you're a little bit like me. And they're like, really? And so you're bringing them in. You are bringing them in. Hey, I bet you're a little bit like me. And you enjoy working hard now, knowing that it's going to pay dividends in the future. Hey, I bet you're a little bit more like me. You're a busy person who's always juggling to get everything done. Hey, you know what? I bet you're a little bit like me, knowing that we don't know what interest rates are going to look like in a year from now, but this house makes sense. I know you're a little bit like me, and you're not going to wait for what interest rates may or may not do, right? We're making them a little bit more like me. It brings people in. There's a trust factor when we get there, and they're going to be letting their guard down a little bit more, thinking like, oh my God, we're the same. Don't worry. The best way to deal with a high stress scenario, right? Just convince the other person that nothing's out of order. And at the moment that you have everything under control, don't worry. Don't worry. You're bound to be nervous right now. Don't worry. I felt just the way you feel right now before I started. And look at me now. Don't worry. When I was looking for my new home, I felt the same way you did. Don't worry. When I was a first time home buyer, I felt the same way that you did. Right. So then we're actually even marrying the two. You're a little bit like me. And don't worry. Right. We're saying that, like, I've been through this before. I got you. And I understand. I can empathize. I can sympathize. Right. I've been through this before. Don't worry. Don't worry. I know that interest rates can feel a little bit scary right now. Right? You're just putting them at ease. Like, you understand that that's the thing, that they're not off in their head believing this by themselves, that you understand that this is a situation and you have them. Most people, you know what most people are afraid of? Being the outcast, right? So that's why we have to get the attention of most people by simply telling them what you need from them. And most people should follow. So what you do is you say, what most people do is complete this form with me today, and you'll receive your welcome packet, and we will get you booked in our future launch. What most people do in your circumstance would grab this opportunity with both hands, knowing that it is almost risk free. You're doing an open house, the neighbors come through, right? And you're like, most neighbors are interested in what the house actually sells for. If you would be interested, and I don't know if this is for you, but if you give me your name and your email address, I'll let you know how many offers we got on this house. Most people, right? People don't want to be like the other people. They want to follow the path, right? Just like your mom saying, if everyone jumped off of a bridge, would you? Yeah, probably, mom. Like, if everyone thought, like, cool, like, most people, yeah, we have a herd mentality. We don't want to be the lone wolf. And so people going through, most people. So what most people do is this. And I really like that, guys. Like, if you're going through, you're telling them, you're saying, most people go into an open house, don't settle on this house, but there's a house that looks similar to it that they end up buying. I don't know if this is for you, but I'm actually going to go look at the neighbor's house at 123 Main Street at 3 p.m. today. Put it in their court, guys, and you're hitting them, and you guys can layer on all these different scripts. Most people, I don't know if this is for you, right? So then you're just like, most people do this, but you don't know if that would be for me. Of course, that's like me. I'm like most people. So going through, guys, and this is how we get to make people act, right? Emotion makes people act. Logic makes people think. What makes you say that? So there's going to be a lot of times that people are going to hit us with objections, right? That's we're in a industry where we will get hit with many objections. I haven't got the time now. I would, but I don't have the money. I'm pretty sure your idea is great, but I've heard better ideas. Oh, the interest rates are too high. The worst thing that we could do in this situation is argue with someone. We never, ever are going to argue with them. That's a never winning battle, ever. You're just going to alienate them. So I need to speak to somebody else before I make the decision. Well, what makes you say that? Really, I don't have all the money right now. Well, what makes you say that? Because this is the thing, guys. A lot of the times you're going to go through and you're going to find that, well, I was watching this thing on YouTube. I saw this on Fox. I saw this on CNN. I saw this on Twitter, right? Like, that's where I get most of my news, Twitter and YouTube. Like, if it's not on Twitter and YouTube, I don't know about it. But we go through And how do they get their information and what makes them say that? And a lot of times what you're going to see is they're going to say, oh, well, interests are so high and I'm not going to be able to afford a house. Well, what makes you say that? And they say, oh, well, I saw it somewhere. Well, have you spoken with a lender yet? No, I haven't. Well, I don't know if this is for you, but I have an industry expert who can let you know exactly what you would qualify for today. And there's no obligation to go through with it. So we're just going through, we're taking them off guard. They're going in and they're saying, hey, I don't know if now's the right time to buy. Well, what makes you say that? We're getting their information. Again, guys, the only objections that we're really going to hear right now is going to be around money. And it's not even money, right? It's not about the price of the home. It's not even about interest rates, right? Like at the end of the day, that might be someone's objection, but that's not what's driving anybody. No one cares about how much a house costs. They don't. No one cares about what interest rates are. They don't. Those are two mute points. What they do care about though is what their monthly payment looks like. And is that monthly payment going to stop them from being able to purchase a house? Like that's truly what people care about. So when we figure out what makes people say that, we can actually go through and we can open that door. We're opening it, right? Like we're putting that elephant in the room. Whatever their objection is, let's like put it in there. And then we know that we're going to be walking in and we're not going to be surprised by the elephant because we just invited it in the room. So then we go through and they say, well, interest rates are so high right now. Oh, there's going to be a market crash. Well, what makes you say that? And they're going to tell you, oh, I saw it on whatever, right? Because like, guess what? Like people that we're doing business with, they're not economists. We're not economists in the grand scheme of things. And so we just need to figure out what's going on because guess what? Someone else is in closer emotional proximity to them. They're at closer emotional proximity to them and they have their mind share. And what we're doing is we're getting in and we're getting closer and closer to emotional proximity to them to take massive, massive mind share, which leads to market share later. That's all we're doing. So once we figure out what's going on, what's stopping them, what are the roadblocks, what are the barriers, we can actually start peeling away, right? Layers like Shrek and onions, right? We're just going to peel away. So if I can will you, sometimes the objection coming from the other side are a list of reasons why the thing that you want to do is unlikely to happen, right? So you have the power in these situations to remove the barrier by responding with a powerful, if I can, will you? If I can pick you up and drop you off at home, then will you be ready at 7 p.m.? If I can match the price, then will you be happy to place an order with me today? If I can match that commission, would you sign an agency agreement with me today? If I can get you into that house to look at it at 3 p.m., would you be available to go look at it? If I can do this, can you do that? Right? So you're saying, like, if I can bring this power in to make this happen for you, will you be available? All right. And the last big, takeaway from this book, guys, from exactly what to say, in every set of circumstances in which you involve yourself in the decision-making process, you have the power to influence the actions of others. Guys, and it goes back, and I know I said this numerous times through this conversation, right? Logic makes people think, emotion makes people act. And if we're going through and we're having conversations, we're figuring out what all their motivations are. And then we're able to take those motivations and to apply them into the different scenarios and the different places in the timeline that we are with these people. And we get closer into emotional proximity to them, we will be able to help them make the decision that makes the most sense for them and their family. This is the largest financial decision that most people make in their lifetimes. And none of us are good enough to just go talk someone into spending money. It has to make sense for them. And there is things, there is fears, there is stuff that is holding them back. There is barriers, and we just have to peel it back to help them. And it's not because we're bad people. Like, they are actually employing us to do this for them. They are employing us to help them drop these roadblocks, these perceived roadblocks that are slowing them down, to help them with this. So guys, there's a couple more minutes left in this scheduled call. Is there any ahas, questions, takeaways? Has anyone read this book? Has anyone ordered this book since we've been talking? What are your guys' thoughts on this?
I downloaded Audible already.
Awesome.
Yeah, but just thinking of what makes you think that. I've heard people say that before, but I never really put two and two together. I feel like, the thing of, oh, there's going to be a market crash or any sort of conspiracy theory or anything, just how people go down those rabbit holes. Especially with social media, they're like, oh, well, I have this in my head, I'm concerned about this. But then the minute that I feel like you ask them, well, what makes you think that? Those times when you say something aloud and you realize as you're saying it aloud, you're like, oh, that's stupid. Like, why?
Absolutely. I do that all the time. Yes.
Yes. Like, I feel like that's such a common thing. It happens all the time. And I feel like even just that, especially with those super negative thoughts that are so intrusive, I feel like that could really be helpful.
100%, right? I guys, that's the thing. Like, let's just even think about like what therapy is for, right? Therapy is to get all the stuff out of your head and to work through it with someone. And while we're not therapists, at the end of the day, we're helping someone make these decisions. And let's just get it out of their head. Let's let them brain dump. Let's let them get everything out, and let's help them work through it. I love that, Megan. That's 100% correct.
But I honestly liked every single thing.
Yes, this is a solid book.
Yeah.
Do I?
How long ago did you read this? Because I've heard you say some of the things.
So I actually read this book this year. I haven't read it until this year. And there's a lot of principles in here that, have just been from other places, right? Like just any other kind of sales training or anything. Like, this is what this book is. Even bold, right? I've said bold laws and different things that have come out of here. This is a sales training book is all this is. And it really is from just words. Like, if someone puts in a sentence and what you can say to help them make a decision.
Awesome. Thank you.
Yep. Yeah, you're welcome. Lee says good stuff. I agree with you, Lee. Awesome. Awesome, guys. Well, hey, I super appreciate all of you guys jumping on this call. If I can do anything for you, please let me know. And if you haven't downloaded this book, download the book, buy the book, however you like to consume information. This book is solid. Have a great day, guys, and I'll talk to you later.
Thanks. Have a good one.
Thank you. Thank you. Bye.